So it's getting cold and windy around here, and we're getting lots of rain. We're just a little over a month away from headed into winter. But I'm getting lots of questions and comments from people who are headed into summer. How could that possibly be? Well, they live in Australia or New Zealand, or some of them are coming from South Africa. If I missed anybody, I apologize. Oh yeah, I suppose parts of South America. So I just got a question from somebody in Australia, and he said, Mike, I got a whole bunch of hydrangea cuttings to root, and they look beautiful, and they've even got little flowers starting to form on them, but they've been on the, would it be the south side of the building? And they've got plenty of overhead light, but no direct sunlight. I want to put these things in full sun. So the question was all about acclimating them. How do I acclimate these things and get them into full sun so I can get them blooming really beautifully? Well, I'm going to explain some things that I do and some tips and tricks. Even though we're headed into winter, we can still talk about this. As you guys probably know, plants do not do well if they've been in a low light environment and you put them directly into bright sun. They just don't do well at all. The leaves burn, the plants get stunted, and in the end, it takes longer for them to recover, and we just don't end up with the results that we wanted to. So what do? Well, we want to do this slowly. We want to slowly bring them out into brighter light. Now, there's a couple things to keep in mind. If you've started with plants that are indoor house plants or low light plants, then you definitely don't want to bring them out into even the bright skylight right away, because some plants can be more tender. Now, you guys have to figure out what plants those are for your area and what you're growing, because people are growing different things all over the world in different countries. But for my area, I kind of know which house plants or which landscape plants that I've got growing inside are going to do okay coming out into overhead skylight. Not direct sun, but overhead skylight. Figs will do well bringing them from fluorescent bulbs into this hoop house. This hoop house is 50% shade cloth, so I know they're shaded quite a bit, and they do just fine coming from inside the house to out inside of here. If I was to bring a low light house plant out into this environment from T8 bulbs, it may not do as well. So in that situation where you've got really low light plants, you definitely want to put them under a shade tree. Something with leaves or even evergreen needles. Something that just kind of lets some filtered sun come through but blocks the majority of it. Aside from those real tender varieties of plants, you could pretty much just bring anything you've got indoors outside to where it's got plenty of overhead skylight but no direct sunlight. Now, if you've got these plants already in an area where they've got lots of overhead light and no direct sunlight, then you want to start moving them into more sun. And what I do is slowly do this over 3, 4, 7 days, just depending on the plant. So these are those hydrangeas that I got rooted through the summer, and we can take a look at them real quick. Like I said, we're headed into winter, so I'm losing leaves everywhere here, and these guys are kind of going to sleep for the winter, but you can see we've got little buds. Look at those little buds, aren't they cute? They're doing just fine. I'm gonna get those dead leaves out of there, and these guys are gonna bounce back just fine. But right now, they're in this 50% shade cloth area right here inside the hoop house. Now, what I would do in the spring, if I wanted these guys to be acclimated to direct sun, is late winter, before we start getting really hot, before the sun is just blasting everything, when it's still early on, I would put them directly out into the landscape, and that way these guys can slowly wake up as the sun intensity gets even more intense. Now, that's the ideal situation because you don't have to do anything special. These guys are going to wake up and put out leaf growth as the sun gets more intense, and they're going to be able to handle all of that just fine without any special I can't say it. Acclimatization, did I say that right? I don't know, maybe not, but anyway, you know what I mean, you get the point. So these guys would do best if you just put them out right from the beginning, right from the get-go in the late winter, and they can slowly wake up. Now, if you haven't done that, and it sounds like you haven't done that, they've just been sitting in an area where you got them rooted and they were in a shady spot or a spot with lots of overhead skylight but no direct sun, and now you're already past spring, you're just about to head into summer, and you're like, I want to plant these things out in my landscape. Now I want them in direct sun. So that's where I would take this whole tote and I would just put them in a spot, let's show you here, right on the edge of the hoop house. So if you can see, and I've done this lots before, I've got, hey little buddy, I've got the direct sun, there's the other one right there. So we've got the bright sun comes up in the morning way up over here, and then it comes up over, and then boom, about noon, it hits this guy, and then we start getting shade from here on down. So if you move these into a spot right here where it's going to get some morning sun, even Ruger wants to be a part of the action. So we get the morning sun until we get to about noon, and then it's going to get shade from then on. And what you can do is you can slowly do this. If you know your plants well and you're like, well, I just want to start off really briefly with a little tiny bit of sun, you can see I got some morning sun, and that's the coolest part of the day, when the sun's not too hot and just cooking them. So you're going to just do this a little bit. You got a little sun rising up right there, and they're just, there they go. They're just coming up over, and then boom, from probably 10 in the morning on, you've got nothing but shade, 50% shade. So you can slowly do that. I leave them in a spot like this for, I don't know, a couple days, and then you can slowly move them a little further till you get outside, and then you've got some more direct sun out there. So I typically do that over several days to a week, just depending on the plant. But I've got a little secret that I do around here. Now, it's not going to work everywhere because some of you guys don't ever have cloudy days. But in my area, we get plenty of cloudy days around here. So if I get a little bit too late into the spring and I notice that it's getting hotter and hotter and the sun's starting to go up, and I'm just not going to be able to move these plants out right away, but I don't have a lot of time and I really do need to get them out there before I forget about something or forget about getting them out there. Then what I'll do is wait until I've got some cloudy days, and we'll have spans of like 4 cloudy days in a row, and I'll just put them out there, and I know I've got shade because of the clouds, and then it'll slowly acclimate them to more sun just kind of naturally. I don't have to do anything special. So if you guys live in an area where you get lots of cloudy days through the spring, early summer, then you can do the same thing there. Over in England, Scotland, Ireland, I think you guys have real similar weather to us over here in Western Washington State. And so I think you'd be able to do something like that. Down in Australia, depending on which part, I've been to Perth, I've never been to Sydney and that side. So over in Perth, it was hotter than heck in the middle of what I was there January 1st to January 4th, I think, and it was 110 degrees and I had the worst sunburn of my life, and there wasn't a speck of clouds in the sky. So if you're in an area like that, this may not work. You're gonna have to slowly acclimatize, I think I got it. You're gonna have to slowly do that in order to get them out into the full sun. So, I hope that answered your question. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to follow along. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios!